They're all tied at 108 with 25 seconds to go with the Thunder in Miami. Miami then goes to Houston tomorrow night. Johnson gets his first points as a Spur.
Misses. Eric thought he got fouled, no whistle. Here comes Stanley Johnson, 1-on-3, and he scores.
Drive there. Good defense from Stanley Johnson.
Spurs push the pace. Johnson, not much of a three-point shooter. He'll take it, and he rims it in. Now there's Smith with the help and doubled. Johnson got it off in time and made it. Beat the buzzer, a three. Miami.
And Craig, I know it looked like a real letdown of a loss, but
he's out there with one shoe and an ankle brace.
3 for Stanley Johnson, down to 13 before the Pels then hit him with their own run. Over the shoulder, Stanley Johnson.
We were Stanley Johnson. He could sit in Jonas Valanciunas' lap.
Stanley's going to the line. It's now a 9-0 run, but it's taken away. Will it be points off the turnover? Stanley Johnson going to the line.
That's a strong move.
Play.
We pretty much dominated the games lost to player injury category.
We've owned that
in the past for several years.
Orleans. Richardson.
corner three is a beauty. Fancy with the rebound.
And JT, well, guys, you want to see guys do that the right way. I mean, just do your thing.
On a Monday night with the Spurs 50th anniversary celebration going on, and Stanley Johnson gets the and one.
You mentioned Kenrich Williams into the ball game, and Stanley Johnson crosses the lane and scores. And Stanley Johnson scores again in the open floor. Man, you don't like seeing that coming at you, do you?
I tell you, man. Lines it to Josh Richardson, who just came in. 7 on the shot clock. Stanley Johnson fires. Got it! Free ball from Johnson. Handle the miss. McDermott comes up with it quickly to Johnson. In the paint, lays it in.
You talked about how he hasn't played of late, and here he comes off the bench and just making it look like, you know, there's no rust whatsoever.
Stanley Johnson for the three.
Easy for him, Sean, in this first quarter. Hasn't had to bruise his way to those 21 points. And the Spurs down by a dozen here. And the running hook by Stanley Johnson. We saw that on the road trip.
And Charlotte, 4 of 5 from now, 4 of 6 from the three-point line this season.
Stanley Johnson, that one sat on the rim. On the arc.
Just a little shaking now.
Johnson scores. That's a 3 from the corner. Stolen. Skip pass. Jones waiting. Good rotation by the Knicks. Johnson, line drive 3 is good. And the Knicks lead off the mark. And Porto back to the board.
Orgy misfiring his favorite shot.
Johnson to the rim. Scores.
There's teams that would love to have him.
There's been some scuttlebutt that Dallas, Phoenix could be interested. Stanley Johnson. Orlando. Stanley Johnson counters and 3 of his own to the other end.
Made a 3 ball.
Oh, from good to great go the Spurs, and Stanley Johnson makes sure he puts it in this time. Richardson on to spot Charles Bassey. Now Stanley Johnson cutting into the paint, knocks it down.
Coach for those years in Phoenix, but between Pop and Adelman and Riley, Bill Fitch, amazing different.
Stanley Johnson to the baseline, and once again, Stanley Johnson. 7 different players. Stanley Johnson on to step through.
And Kennedy Chandler could good.
Stanley Johnson hits a 3. Backing down against Tillman. Leans inside, his flip won't fall, but it's put in by Stanley Johnson. Calling for it. Clock at 3, Richardson. Stanley Johnson got it away and put it in. Happened 2 for 2 from 3. Collins, nice spin move, wrap around Stanley Johnson. That's nicely done.
They had a good team for a while during that run. Stanley Johnson lays it in transition.
It's their chance to show off and show everybody how good they are.
Johnson knocks down the bank shot in the 4th. Johnson pulls up, and Stanley converts. Average is
not let me shoot it. People need to yell at me to shoot the ball. It's like, you don't understand, that man won't let me shoot it.
Yeah, he was rough on rookies.
He's got to be aggressive, body to body. Oh, there you go.
Stanley Johnson. Nice pass from Collins.
A lot of shots.
Stanley. Got it for 3. Somebody said he wanted more. does it.
There again, that man.
18 on the heels of the Clippers having a 19-9 lead. Johnson inside, leaves it up and leaves it in.
Dermott off the iron, right to Stanley.
Oh, shoot that, Stanley.
Johnson, triple fake.
To say. Oh, he had a layup to begin with.
Keldon missing the three. Stanley Johnson stops, fires for two. Deflected as Avon Lee nearly had it. Keldon to Stanley Johnson. Got it! Oh, mama! Oh, the steal! Johnson with a hammer! Oh, mama!
You can't play a lot of defense, right?
Those are with the rules. I mean, how much it could take. I know.
78. Johnson against Kuzma. Uses his body.
Oh, yeah, he did. He was overpowered.
Cohan. Collins lines up a three. Rattles out. Oh, nicely done by Stanley Johnson.
Pass there, and instead he keeps his dribble and gets all the way to the rim. Just froze the defender.
And Monk, who's just 24, as Johnson counters.
Better check for fleas in there.
Johnson on the drive. Stanley scores. Got 30, 3 below his average. Stanley Johnson from Doug McDermott.
Just cooking. And we talked about Maxey earlier in the telecast. That's man one.
I think so.
Some kind of something. I mean, a bump, anything.
Stanley Johnson. Johnson.
Oh, good physical there.
Pulls his way in. And one.
Here's Stanley Johnson. Strong body into Levine and a chance at a three-point play.
Ball dominant guys. You got the team.
Stanley Johnson. Stanley determined to get to the basket, and this time he scores. Now he lost the handle. Stanley Johnson races the other way and scores. He beat that for Stanley Johnson. Stanley turns in front and scores. Stanley Johnson,
who last night in Detroit, in his first game with the Spurs. Catch and shoot for Stanley Johnson, and he drains the corner three. Johnson the board. It's the other way, driving and scoring on Hunter.